it's Jessie here, and this video is to talk about the next steps after I received my breast cancer diagnosis. It's October 25th of 2024, and I get blindsided with this diagnosis of breast cancer. The next day, I have a whirlwind of questions just flooding my brain. As expected, I'm ready to get more information and I'm ready to feel like I can gain some control over my situation and get this thing taken care of. Shortly after the conversation with my doctor, I was in her office and we were ready to do just that. I'm going to keep my doctor's names and the doctor office names, etc. I'm keeping those details anonymous. I do not have permission to give out my doctor's name, and I just feel like that's the right thing to do. She's amazing. I absolutely adore her, and I'm so thankful for her, but for confidentiality purposes, I'm not going to be including her name. I'm in her office. I see her, and there's just, there's this weight in the room of breast cancer because that in itself is pretty heavy. But at the same time, I feel like there's this light sense of just calming sensation of, I know we're going to get through this. You're here for me. I'm thankful to have you. There's a reason why I was referred to you and why you were brought into my life as my doctor. We fucking got this. And right from the get-go, she is on it. We start going over the details of my results. We had briefly talked about them on the phone. Honestly, there's a chunk of that conversation I vaguely remember because my brain essentially shut off once I heard that I did have cancer. And now I was ready. I was ready now to finally listen to everything she had to say, and we went through the results together. I need to be careful okay. She gave me this pink binder with everything in it, and we started going through things together. We started going through the characteristics of my tumor and what they meant. What does HER2 negative mean? I guess it's a good thing because that doesn't mean I would need chemo before any type of surgery, but she explained everything so thoroughly. For me, what I needed to know is that the characteristics of my tumor were 50% estrogen and 80% progesterone, meaning it's hormonal. It's fueled and fed by hormones. I needed to be mindful of my food intake in terms of, let's think about meat. A lot of the meats that you buy at the supermarket, unfortunately, are filled with hormones, steroids, antibiotics. I can't have that in my system. I could be feeding my tumor. Not a jam. Okay. Once we understood the characteristics of my tumor and she helped me understand what that meant, we went through a lot of information, and that included diet. I brought up diet. Well, please help me understand what are some of the things that I should be avoiding. Are there certain things that I need to, just switch to when it comes to what I'm putting into my body? Because that's really important to me. I find out that certain foods like soy have higher levels of estrogen, and to avoid putting them into my body. Now, if I had it every once in a while, is it going to do serious damage? Probably not, but having that information available to me so I can make decisions for myself was very helpful. We went over a lot. She's grabbing papers and she's drawing things out and making charts and drawing diagrams and branching out and making notes for me. I'm like, this is amazing. This is so helpful. I was so thankful at how the entire appointment went. We started talking about options in terms of surgery. I knew my main options would be either a lumpectomy, which is where they only go in and remove the tumor itself, or the double mastectomy, or even just a mastectomy for the one breast. I knew the options. I could have just had my left breast, which is where my tumor was, if I wanted a mastectomy. I could remove just the one, but then there's a higher chance of the breast cancer popping up in the other breast. And then, of course, there's just kind of the aesthetic sides of things of one breast being natural, the other one being reconstructive, and they're just from an aesthetics purpose. They're not gonna look the same. I didn't really care about that. What I cared about was making it the lowest percentage possible of this nasty fucking bullshit returning into my body, primarily my breast, because this is where it originated. I want this thing gone, and I did not want it coming back. We went over the percentages of what that means for me. If I were to keep my breasts, or even one of my breasts, the percentages for me in particular of it returning are a little bit higher simply because of my age. I am in the younger category of those getting diagnosed with breast cancer. So there's simply a higher rate of it returning because I have a lot more life to live in comparison to maybe someone who isn't diagnosed with breast cancer until their 70s. The percentages discussed with them with their surgical options, if that's a route that they were going to pursue, it would be a little bit different of a conversation because they don't have as much, in most cases, they're not going to have as much life left to live as someone who is my age. Having that understanding was very helpful for me. And ultimately, I made the decision for myself. I felt like it's the best thing for me to have a double mastectomy. Take them. Fucking take them. I'm okay with that. That gives me the peace of mind, for me personally, to make the percentage of this breast cancer returning as low as possible. And for me, that's my priority. That's what I want for myself, for my kids, for our family. I'm not going anywhere, and my stubborn ass is going to be around as long as possible. And yes, I had a breast augmentation in December of 22 to get bigger breasts. Okay, that was fun while it lasted. Take them. What's interesting when it comes to the implants that I had in my body, my doctor let me know that because those implants were behind my muscle and pushed my natural tissue forward, it likely pushed my tumor forward and forced it to expose its nasty little self faster than if I would have never gotten implants. That blew my mind to think that my implants potentially could have saved my life, could have had an impact at me getting diagnosed with this breast cancer sooner, allowing us to jump on the ball quickly, tackle this, come up with a game plan. It's insane to me to think of how long this thing could have potentially been hiding in my breast behind the scenes and growing without me knowing, simply because it hadn't been forced to the surface. My implants did just that. And that's not necessarily a 100% guarantee of what happened, but when my doctor made that comment, when my breast surgeon made that comment about my implants potentially working in our favor with discovering this tumor faster, okay, thanks. You're going to be gone now, but thanks for your part in this crazy journey, and at least I now have my diagnosis. Some of the other things that we talked about at my doctor's appointment were, once I go through my surgery, what it could look like after, what we could potentially find, some of the unknown, situations where I might need chemo, situations where I might need radiation, situations where I could need a combination of both. We went over so much information in a very thorough manner. I asked a lot of questions. My doctor was insanely patient with me, and she's just on it. You can tell she is incredibly amazing at what she does, and the way that she talks with you and has these conversations, it is in a way that not only gives you information, but it boosts your confidence, and it also empowers you to be part of the decision-making process. It was wonderful. Not that I wouldn't necessarily be wanting to have these conversations. Most people don't sign up for this type of diagnosis, but this is the card that I was dealt. And having someone like her on my side and in my corner, I mean, that's just what you hope for. And please be mindful of the fact of I am not here in any way telling someone what they should do. It is different for everyone. Some people are not for these types of treatments and these types of options and prefer a different path for themselves, and that is fine. Absolutely do what you feel is best for you. If you have confidence in making decisions for your body and for yourself, then that's wonderful. Please just be mindful and kind that people are different, and it's okay if we have different opinions, and it's okay if we take different paths when it comes to these types of with this type of diagnosis. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professional. I'm in no way telling you what to do. This is my journey, me sharing my experience, providing some perspective, and hopefully it's helpful for someone out there. And if you choose to maybe not want to receive what I'm putting out there, then that's okay too. For me, I was very confident right from the beginning. I was prepared to make the decision to move forward with a double mastectomy and do everything else that was needed to make sure we had all the information we possibly needed to look at the complete picture before finalizing these types of decisions, make sure that there's no cancer hiding anywhere else in my body, etc., etc., etc. I had a lot of appointments. I had a lot of imaging done. I had a lot of follow-ups, a lot of phone calls. My breast surgeon was amazing in the fact that we would text each other. She gave me her personal cell phone number to text her, and then she would get back to me and even call me when needed. I let her know, you're amazing. I'm not going to be someone who takes advantage of that. You'll only hear from me if it's something that is, pretty important, because I don't want to take advantage of your time. I can only imagine how demanding her schedule is. But there were a handful of times where we would text each other, and she'd call me in the evenings after her day of surgeries and appointments, and I cannot say enough positive things about her. Yeah, she's a badass. And I'm so thankful to have her as my breast surgeon. The next person that I needed to meet with would be my plastic surgeon, who is the one that I would meet with to discuss breast reconstruction and the options surrounding that procedure. That is for another video. So for now, I'm going to let you go, and I will talk to you next time. Mwah.